So the next speaker, her name is Tracy Molm. She is from Minneapolis. She is part of the Committee to Stop FBI Repression, and she has been an activist for years now. She has been involved with Students for a Democratic Society, currently involved with the Welfare Rights Committee up in Minneapolis, and she is quite an inspirational person, and I'm glad to be involved in the same organization that she is. And so, without further ado, here's Tracy Molm.
I'm a little intimidated by microphones. If people can hear me, I might just put this down. I've generally almost never been told to be quieter or to be louder. Never had that problem. I'll just hear it. So I think we've talked a lot about our case. There are, we're going on 4 years now. September 24th will be the 4th year anniversary of when my home, along with 6 other homes in Minneapolis and Chicago, were raided. Also the offices of the Anti-War Committee. Common string amongst all of these is that we were all major organizers during the Republican National Convention in St. Paul in 2008. After the raids happened, we look around and we're trying to figure out what's the common thread. Well, it's an informant. It's a spy, a professional liar, who joined the Anti-War Committee in 2008, in February of 2008, helped to be part of organizing for the Republican National Convention, and then stuck around, right? So she sticks around for 2.5 years, reporting hours of meetings, of social gatherings, of people hanging out with their babies, just coming to every event and taking another opportunity to lie, to try to convince people that she should be trusted, that she should get names of other activists in the Twin Cities community, in Chicago, all around the country, right? So when they come to our homes, they take sign-in sheets, they take phones, they take our computers, all of the things that help us do our activism, all the things that have helped myself organize to free Palestine, right? In 2004, I took a trip. They said, when they came to my home at 7 a.m., I'm in a bathrobe. And they say, well, we want all of the things that you got in Palestine. Trinkets, we want names, we want the notes that you took and all the meetings that you had. Clearly fishing for more, right? They don't want just us, they want more. We had 23 people in the end, all subpoenaed across the country. These are people who have been doing activism for, some of them for decades, for many, many decades, doing all types of activism, and now the FBI has all of these files. Shortly afterwards, there is a case brought against Carlos Montes. I don't know if people have heard of him. He's a longtime activist in the LA area. He was one of the Brown Berets, one of the founding members of the Brown Berets, the Chicano Liberation Organization. There's these behind-the-scenes meetings that happen between FBI, local PD, and they say, well, he's related to these other people. Right? It's on the record. Through investigation during his court case, we find that there is a meeting between the prosecutor in our case and the LAPD. So they raid his house at 5 a.m., guns blazing, right? They break down his door and point guns in his face because they say decades earlier he had been arrested and received a felony charge, and now he is in possession of a handgun, registered handgun. He had had it for years. And so they want to put him in jail. Clearly related to our case. The point is that they're using the information that they got to go after other people. Very, very scary. And so, today I can tell you all about our case, and it's been going on for a long time. We have a lot of information on stopfbi.net, but I want to kind of appeal to people to get involved for Rasmeah. She is an amazing woman, activist who's in Chicago now, born in Palestine during Nakba. Right? Her life has been struggle from the day that she was born. They were kicked out of Jerusalem. She was put in jail, in Israeli jails, and tortured into a confession. Brutally, brutally tortured. They brought her father in and tortured her father in front of her. Just awful, right? So she's tortured into a confession. She leaves the country, of course, because after you get released, it's not exactly a friendly place you want to stay, which is true for many Palestinians, of course. She comes to the United States. 20 years later now, they're bringing a case against her. Well, why 20 years later? She's a co-worker of Rasmeah Odeh, one of the 23, one of the people who had his homes raided, and is part of the documents I'm sure that they seized from Hatem. Her first day in court, the prosecutor from our case is sitting there next to them. This is an immigration charge, and a Homeland Security prosecutor sitting next to this man. So, you know, I don't want myself or any of the 23 of us to go to jail, but I definitely don't want Rasmeah to go to jail. This woman has been organizing in Chicago for the better part of a decade now. She's an associate director of the AAAN, the Arab American Action Network, and formed the Women's Committee. 600 women in Chicago, in the Chicago area, Arab women and Muslim women, have been empowered through the amazing work that she does. Language classes, just social classes, lots of different types of social and educational process and leadership training. It's unprecedented, right? It doesn't happen very often in the United States that we find ways to help empower each other, especially in communities that are under attack right now, like the Arab community and Muslim community. So I hope that people really do go to the stopsbi.net website. We have been doing call-in days like Mel talked about before. There's I think some of the best ways to help put pressure and to actually gain some leverage to stop some of these attacks. Because the reality is these attacks happen because they first and foremost want to intimidate people who speak out. That's a pretty clear message that you can hear from all of these stories. They want to intimidate people who speak out, in particular around Palestine, which is just disgusting. It's very clear that there is an occupation going on and our government is funding it. But they also want to make people in the United States scared and justify the Homeland Security budget. And so they find people that are socially isolated and drag them into these plots to scare the American public into continuing to support this war on terror. And now the war that's everlasting with this new group that's, you know, who's ever seen ISIL or ISIS in their lives?
Yeah.
Nobody. The reality is it's not the problem. The problem is that the US government needs to make us scared so that they can keep justifying their budget and their attacks at home upon the Muslim and Arab community and now the activist community. You know, it's always really empowering to come and speak in a full room, but it's very clear. It's like one of these things is not like the other. I'm not Muslim. I'm not Arab. And why are they going after us now? Why are they going after Rasmeah? Because they want to ensure that their intimidation is full-blown. To make it clear to the activist community that you can't speak out. But the thing that is always most empowering is that the thing that got us into this, our activism, is actually the thing that's keeping us out of jail. The fact is, our activism in mobilizing for Carlos ensured that he didn't spend one day in jail. After trying to try him for an additional felony charge, he got no charge. He got a charge that was dropped 6 months later. He ended up with a great plea deal that ended with no jail time, and his charges are now off of his record. And I believe we can do the same for Rasmeah and for future cases. The way that we do that is by going to events like this and hearing about people's cases, and by donating money, by writing letters. The NCPCF does an amazing letter writing campaign. I have the letter from one of the people that I've now befriended in Terre Haute. So it's organizing together is what will get us out of this. And so I really hope that people keep coming out. This is a great event and wonderful to see so many people here. The reality is my case is so connected with all the other cases and so similar, despite the fact that I don't look like any, you know, like most of the people who are in this situation. I have a lot to learn and a lot of great inspiration from Hatem and from Samuel Aryan. I think that we can win by standing up.